Back at it again. And it's crazy to think that we are just a touch over a month post election. It feels like the election was just yesterday and we were all like celebrating and, man, time flies by. I mean, it really does. It doesn't seem like it's been a month already since the election. Well, in celebration of it being just a touch over a month, I have this compilation video of the mainstream media on election night as the night, went forward as we got closer to, Trump's actual win in their reactions throughout the night, how it all changed and shifted. So yeah, that's what we're going to be diving into today. With that being said, let's dive in.
All the anticipation, all the excitement, all the anxiety, all the doom scrolling, all the manic refreshing of polling averages, it has all been leading to this hour. And we know you have every choice in the world for where to spend tonight, so we're really grateful that you're spending it with us, and we hope you'll be with us through the duration.
How's everybody doing? First time voting?
Yes.
How you feeling?
Good.
You guys doing okay, too?
Yes, we're doing great. Kamalala.
I was going to ask who you're going to vote for, but I didn't need to.
Kamalala. Because lives matter.
First time voting? As you know, this is where the Harris campaign wants to drive up the numbers to sort of counteract that T in the middle of Pennsylvania to counteract the rural votes that the Trump campaign is expected to get.
And so what you've seen in the last couple of weeks, if this is an audition for managing a complex organization like the United States, Kamala Harris has passed the audition flawlessly. This has been, in many ways, a perfect campaign. And what the campaign is talking about now is the granular get out.
Hold on. Time out. She said this campaign has been run flawlessly. And she's so serious, too. And this is why people don't watch this crap anymore. That's why. Just be honest, Joy. Just be honest. Kamala did not run a flawless campaign. It was actually probably the worst campaign ever. Why are you still lying? People already had voted by this. This is the crazy thing. People had already voted by this point in the night. The votes were already cast. The ballots were already in. It wasn't like whatever she said was going to change people's minds. They already voted. So why are you still on national television lying? She ran a flawless campaign. Okay. Keep it up, Joy Reid, please. You know what? Matter of fact, fuck it. Keep it up. Yes, please do. Because folks like Joy Reid are going to be out of a job here soon. And people like me, amongst others, are just going to replace her. We're already starting to see it. We're already starting to see people shift away from mainstream media to independent media. We're already seeing it. MSNBC, what was it? ABC? I think, no. Who owns Comcast? I believe it's Comcast. Separating MSNBC from the rest of their, they're already talking about CNN possibly being sold as well. Okay, keep it up. She's going to be out of a job here soon. Go ahead.
The vote effort that you just don't see on the other side. On the other side, you're seeing Charlie Kirk going on X Twitter this morning and begging people to vote.
The last week has been a very good close for Kamala Harris, not a good close for Donald Trump. He hasn't been able to fill the rallies. He's addled. He has racist comedians opening it. Whatever. It's been a trashy week for Donald Trump. It's been a very strong week for Kamala Harris.
ASU, the campus that we're on right now, ASU students, the population is about 74,000. So a lot of people voting here. When it comes to a lot of the young women that we've been talking to, reproductive rights is huge. It's a big, big driver. It's a lot of the conversation that we're hearing.
We've got about 10 now completed of those rural, heavily Trump counties. We're talking about places where he's going to get 70, 75, 80% of the vote. In all 10 that have now been completed, Trump's vote share relative to 2020 has gone up.
I'm just going to give a couple of everybody take a breath warnings here. We don't know what's going to happen in Georgia. It's like a baby blue state, I'm going to say, and that it has not been blue for a long.
This is when in the night things started to shift in the wrong direction for Kamala, and people started to see that, oh crap, she's going to lose, and that's why she said that. But, if they were actually honest and paying attention to the numbers, you could see that early on, Kamala was in trouble because numbers were coming in from Florida, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. And if I remember correctly, the numbers coming in from Pennsylvania showed that Kamala was only up 400,000 votes. She was up by 400,000. At that same point in 2020, Biden was up by 1.1 million. So Trump had cut that lead in more than half. And he only lost by 80,000 in 2020. Lost by 80,000, right? So if he lost by 80,000, when Biden had a lead of 1.1 million, but Kamala only has a lead of 400,000, what does that tell you? Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. It clearly showed that he was more than likely going to win Pennsylvania. The early numbers coming out of Florida, you had Miami-Dade County going red. You could see that early on. So when you have stuff like that, when you got the numbers from Nevada showing Republicans showing up en masse, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4. I mean, I know Democrats probably try to, bend and twist it, try to make it equal 6 or something crazy, but 2 + 2 always equals 4. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. Like, Trump's more than on track to win. Like, as a matter of fact, I want to say probably around this point in the night, I literally stopped everybody because people were like panicking. I had some folks over, to watch the election and whatnot. I literally stopped everybody and I was like, listen, Trump has a better shot. These are my exact words. I said, Trump has a better shot at blowing Kamala out than he does at losing. Trump is more than likely going to blow Kamala out. That's just my prediction. That's what I'm seeing. That's the numbers. And what happened? We saw it happen. So there you go.
Long time. It is a hard state for the Harris team.
One of the things that was so striking about the public polling and the public data going into this election was that the public polling said this is the closest race that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, that was the consensus view. And there was a real question about, well, maybe the public polling's wrong, and maybe it's going to miss a few points in one direction or another. We don't know at this point. It's very early in the evening. But I would say at 8:50, it's a very, very close race.
Yeah, I'd say that if you are just joining us right this second at 8:52:06, and I had to summarize what's going on, no surprises.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much that's what's happened thus far. In Georgia, it's too close to call. In Pennsylvania, it's too close to call. In Wisconsin, it's too close to call. In Michigan, sing it with me now. It's too close to call.
Let's be blunt. I think when you watched what Donald Trump did in 2020, what Democrats were fantasizing about was a landslide victory. And so some of what was wanted and desired was a sweep that really wasn't on the table. We live in an evenly divided country, and it creates anxiety, but it also requires patience.
It is fairly shocking. And I don't think it's something that should make us super proud. You just think about just the last 2 weeks and the things that Donald Trump has said. If all of that gets you half of the votes,
48, 49%.
What does it tell you? I mean, we need to really take a step back and think about what does that say about us?
I mean, blue wall, baby, there was always going to be a blue wall night. Some of the
Joy Reid, what that says is that you guys are liars and we don't believe you. That's what that says, but carry on.
Fantasies, right, of a landslide victory that would erase any doubt, that would eradicate, the threats. I think it's going to be a late night. The polls have accurately captured this dead heat.
Ari, since you were last with us, I've got nothing to report.
Turns out it wasn't actually a late night.
Well, the crowd here is still large, is still loud, but a little bit more subdued. And the word that I keep hearing is the idea that people here are nauseously optimistic, not just cautiously optimistic, but nauseously optimistic. The real focus now is on that blue wall in the Midwest. They knew that this was going to be a long night and that it was going to be a real nail biter, and it appears that that is exactly what we're looking at right now.
We've been saying for weeks, says O'Malley Dillon, quote, that this race might not be called tonight. Those of you who were around in 2020 know this well. What we do know is this race is not going to come into focus until the early morning hours.
Part of the objective of this email is to say to the people on the team, hang in there, guys. Like, it's not over. We're still getting votes in. We still need to keep talking to people, keep people in lines, tell your grandma it's going to be okay.
We now have an NBC News call in the first one, Joy. North Carolina called for Donald Trump.
Yep, and so it was,
We now have all the vote in Luzerne County. Donald Trump is going to win this by a little bit more than 21 points. 4 years ago, it was 14. We also saw him make those gains in Lackawanna County right next door earlier tonight. Democrats wanted more of a Trump drop-off here. They don't get it in Lebanon County tonight. In 2020, Joe Biden won here by essentially 27 points. Sits at about 24.5. In Chester County, more significant drop-off for Harris from Biden. Next door in Montgomery County, Harris is now running a point behind where Joe Biden finished in this county. Biden won this by 4.5 points in 2020. Trump has now taken the lead in Bucks County.
NBC News now projects that in the battleground state of Georgia in the presidential race, Donald Trump has prevailed. The Republican Party will control the United States Senate. This is live from Howard University in Washington, D.C.
Which, us controlling the Senate, I mean, it's great, but we still got some rhinos that need to be primaried and voted out, okay? Because, sheesh Louise, goodness gracious, we got some terrible Republicans in the Senate, as well as in the House as well. But the Senate, oh boy, real bad Republicans.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. Thank you all.
A short and to-the-point statement from Cedric Richmond, the Harris campaign co-chair. You now see them turn as one to start to leave the grounds.
The evening was getting increasingly somber as people realized what this map is looking like. They turned off the TV set and just piped up the music because the room was starting to get increasingly somber.
You knew it was over when Kamala didn't want to come out that same night and speak to the thousands of people that showed up to support her. You knew it was over then, and so did she. And allegedly, Democrats knew it was over the entire time. They were lying. There was a insider, or I forgot his name. I can't think of his name. Forgive me. But he had said that they knew that Kamala was behind in the polls the entire time, the whole time. She never had a lead, ever. But they were out here raising money, telling people she's gonna win, and blah, all this BS. And behind the scenes, they knew the entire time. So to Kamala and her campaign, thank you. Thank you for destroying trust completely in the Democrat Party. Let the Republicans shine now.
We always knew it was going to be down to the blue wall, and the blue wall is still uncalled at this point. But it sounds like the Harris campaign is sort of keeping things tight in terms of whether or not they're going to string people along into thinking this is going to happen.
What they went to that venue tonight hoping to see and witness was a historic election of Kamala Harris to the presidency.
Yeah.
Was the end of the Trump era as they knew it. And so we don't know the outcome yet, but that is not what they are receiving, and they are being told to go home and wait till tomorrow.
And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. You could not have run a better campaign.
In Western Europe.
You couldn't have run a better campaign. No, actually, Joy Reid, you couldn't have run a worse one. Kamala had over $2 billion backing her. She blew every bit of it and is $20 million in debt. She allegedly fired staff after telling them that they were going to be on the payroll up until the end of the year. She just fired them. Now they're out of a job during holiday season in the middle of the winter. So a flawless campaign because Queen Latifah Ooh. Endorsed her? I think what this election proved is that endorsements mean a hill of beans. I think what this election showed is that no matter how much money you raise, it means absolutely nothing if you're a terrible candidate. Kamala had all the money in the world. That's about the only historic thing about her campaign was how much money she had available to her. That's about the only thing. I mean, literally the only thing. Okay, she had buku bucks, all right, and blew every bit of it and lost in a landslide. Didn't win a single swing state. Explain how it was flawless. Anyway, carry on.
And in the UK and in the Middle East, people are waking up to this.
Oh, and they are.
I've gotten people from Western Europe who are extraordinarily alarmed and terrified.
May I reiterate, there are 2 of the 7 swing states that have been called by NBC News right now, which is Georgia and North Carolina. None of the other 5 states have been called at this point. You can see this is the battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the so-called blue wall. None of those states called by NBC News. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. It presents an insurmountable future here for Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket. Let's watch as Trump takes the stage in Palm Beach, Florida.
We overcame obstacles.
All right, I can't play the music. That music's gonna get copyrighted. Does it play the whole time?
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for her.
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for her. You don't suppose when you spent your entire campaign, the entire 3 months you were on the campaign trail lying to people and hiding away from the camera until you absolutely couldn't hide anymore. And even then, you just... I don't even know. Like, bro, like, can anybody explain, like, what happened to Kamala? I'm genuinely curious because I could have swore back when she ran the first time, and was that 2020? And, she was on stage with Biden and everybody else. Like, she didn't talk the way that she was talking during the campaign this go around. Like, she was like a drunken sailor and just completely out of it. But in 2020, she actually, could speak. Now, nobody voted for her, which says a lot. I think that says she wasn't going to win in the first place. She was only propped up by mainstream media. Had it not been for dishonest media, Kamala probably would have lost a place like Virginia, a place like New Hampshire, right? Like places that were close. Probably a New Jersey would have flipped red as well. But the media was trying to prop her up. But if you go back to 2020, she had to drop out of the race before they even went to Cali. They voted in Cali. And that's where she's from. Oh, man. This campaign was just absolutely weird and crazy to watch go down. But as always, let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this in the comment section below. Peace and love. I'm out.